streaming. Is it working? Yeah. Nice. All right. We are live and in the building. All right. Cool. I will actually. Oh man, we are all over the place tonight, guys. Just remember that. We'll do. Actually, let me put that back up here, and we'll do that because we're gonna fix it. We're gonna do it right. How are everybody doing right now? I'm gonna check the chat. Actually, I'm gonna share this, guys, so you guys can check it out too. I don't know why this keeps. I gotta change the title. What a big dummy. Oh man, we are really killing it out here, guys. I'm so excited. Um, listen, we're here to make mistakes here on Audio Addiction. And we're learning here. I'm not usually live streaming, but I figured might as well do it. So for those of you who don't know, I was interviewed by my good friends in the Everyman Podcast. You should check it out. They do some fantastic interviews, and it was cool to be a part of an interview where they've interviewed literally Dream Theater, Between the Buried and Me, and I wanted to show them some extra love because I've never been interviewed. Like I feel like people find it maybe a little bit harder to believe, but like I've never been interviewed in my entire life, and it's crazy because like audio addiction has been something I've been doing for like for the better half of 3 years, and I've never been interviewed. So this is a first for me, and I felt like, I had to make the most of my time doing this. So, um, forgive me for if there is literally just a bunch of crap um, that maybe people may or may not get, but like, um, definitely check out audio addictions. I mean, check out Everyman Podcast. I think they're really awesome. Um, I can't talk and type at the same time apparently, but thank you guys for just sticking with me for these 3+ years. It's really cool to be recognized by somebody that has been doing it for a very long time, and it's so incredibly gratifying to know that people care about what I'm doing, about the channel, all that sort of stuff. And um it's wild that people would want to interview me and like listen to what I have to say and what I'm talking about and stuff. So um again, super awesome. Shouts to the Everyman Podcast for having me on, for introducing me to the world of podcasting, which if you've been with the channel since the beginning, like we've done podcasts before, and I definitely want to get back into it and stuff like that. But it was really cool to be interviewed by them and like to talk and chat and do all that stuff. So I figured I'd give them the due time that they deserve, and so I am literally reacting to myself doing an interview. um, so I'm definitely excited for that. And like I said, I will leave links after the fact because I don't want to just completely mistype what I'm talking about. But check them out. All of their interviews are awesome. Shouts to Daryl. Shouts to my boy Justin. Thank you for doing that. Like I said, I'm getting everything going. So if you have any questions, because I know there's 2 people watching currently, feel free to drop a line. Let me know what you've been up to. If you have any questions for me, this is the time where I'm going to be answering some of them. Also, while I'm on here, I want to say thank you to everybody who has liked my Facebook page. It's over 1,000 likes, which is awesome. Thank you guys again for the awesome support. check out the Instagram. That's the next one. I'm trying to get to 1,000. So if you do have an Instagram, please follow me on there as well. I try to post about shows whenever I go to them, and I just try to post about all the content that I put out. So, again, if you're watching this and you haven't checked out either of those things, definitely do so. It means a lot. But I'm going to finish typing this. So, again, if you have any questions, shoot them below. All right, we're almost there, guys. I'm gonna make a post. I'm gonna make sure people know on Facebook what's going on. So if you're part of the Facebook family, you already know. If not, definitely stay here, hang out, chat. If you got, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to answer some of your questions. So again, if you have them currently, definitely I'm excited to have some questions answered, and hopefully you can hang out and chat with me. Let me share this real quick. All right, we've got it. We're almost there, guys. We're getting there. This is so very unprofessional of me, but wouldn't have it any other way doing audio addiction stuff. So I love it. It's what we're all about here at Audio Addiction. But again, thank you for watching this, and if, like I said, go follow them on Spotify if you haven't already. They, like I said, they put out some really awesome content, and I definitely want to give them their due time. So please check out their stuff, all of their work. They do some really great stuff, and I'm gonna post about it on the gram. You know what I'm saying? So for those that are watching after or watching now currently, definitely come hang out, come chat. If you have questions, drop them below. I'd love to answer them. I'm going to be taking a look at the chat. But I'm going to start it right now. Shoutouts to the 3 people that are in my YouTube live video. Like I said, if you like this, I hope to do it more. I definitely want to do it more. So if you are interested in checking something like this out, where I'm just talking whatever I want to talk about, let me know, because it's something that I like to do, and hopefully that I'll be able to get the chance to do in the future. Also, I don't know how loud this is, so I'm gonna try to turn it down if I can. Okay, I don't care about that. I think this is probably pretty good. Oh, we can turn it up a little bit. Let me know if it's too loud, guys.
Everyman swapcast.
Everyman swapcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We got something special this
my
week,
God.
Daryl Campbell.
Special.
Sometimes in history, there have been moments where great
this is great, Justin.
alignments occur.
Oh my God.
You know,
I like it.
the famous amalgam series of DC and Marvel mashup comics in the 90s.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, Brother Jay.
You know, Batman versus Superman,
I'm smelling what you're cooking.
I can
Transformers
tell you how strange
versus
this
G.I.
is
Joes.
hearing myself,
It's happening.
them.
It's
but
happening.
I will
These
hear
are all
myself
these are all
soon.
great moments in crossover history, and today we are presenting another great moment in crossover history for our first ever swapcast.
Oh man.
Swapcast.
So tonight we did an awesome podcast, and then we did an awesome YouTube interview
Oh,
with
man.
our good
Word.
friend Brandon from Audio Addiction.
awesome.
Yeah,
Love Brandon. He's
Brandon's
the man.
he's a great guy and awesome. He's super talented, super hardworking.
Oh, my heart.
He reached out to me years ago to interview Extractus, and we did an interview with him, and I just really hit it off. So we've stayed in touch ever since, and I've been keeping an eye on his YouTube channel growth, and he's taken it from just like all of us on this journey of digital content creation. We start with nothing, and he's built it into something that's really impressive. And
Thank
he's
you.
had
Oh,
some
man.
really awesome
My
bands on his YouTube channel and interviews, and some really cool live music videos and album reviews, and he's just really all over that YouTube music culture. He's an awesome talent. So I hit him up a few weeks ago about putting a little swapcast together. So on the same day, you'll be able to hear Brandon on the Everyman Podcast, and you'll hear Daryl and myself on the Audio Addiction. It's going to be really cool. And
Sweet, dude.
and in both instances, you get kind of a different side of what we normally do.
Man.
I love it. I love it.
I, for one, it was cool being interviewed. You know, that's a change of pace.
Well, I mean, the thing about Brandon and it's right in line with what it is that we do here on the Everyman Podcast. He talks about, positivity. We talk about positivity. We talk about the relationship that we not only have with
Oh, man, this is great.
I want to say the communal circle of the people that we're around, the artists that we interview, but just, people in general. And, he vibes with our spirit, we vibe with his. And, I think that what he's doing with respect to music and the culture therein and highlighting just those positive aspects is nothing short of awesome. And that's what we try to do. We try to, like you say all the time,
awesome.
Brother Jay, connect the dots, connect those positive dots and, keeping people together and putting that out in the atmosphere. So, there's some more shade the light out there that weren't there before. So
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
yeah, I
This is
think
great. Love you, Daryl.
Brandon is awesome. Love him. I told him even in the interview, hey, we're in this cosmic canoe for life, buddy. And I think that's just what it is, man.
Yeah, I think that's, I couldn't have said it any better myself. And, when the old expression, game recognizes game, or whatever, however you want to call it. But, when you're doing something with the intention of being
man,
positive
so
and
cool.
uplifting and enriching in people's lives, and you're not doing it for money, you're not doing it for, clout, as the kids say these days. You're just doing it because you want to do it, and B, you believe in it. And that's what we're both doing here. And for fans of metal and hardcore and metalcore and some indie rock, you're gonna love hearing some of the bands that Brandon's interviewed over on his YouTube page at Audio Addiction. So strap in, enjoy it. It was a lot of fun for us. We're laughing the whole time. Like I said, Brandon's an awesome guy, and I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, give him a subscribe, and check out some of his content, because he's a great positive guy. And I think if you like the Everyman Podcast, I think you'll like Audio Addiction.
For sure.
Well, I think we should kick it to
I'm gonna pause real quick. I didn't know that they recorded this prior. I mean, I kind of figured, because I've listened to some podcasts before in my lifetime. But man, Justin, Daryl, I love you guys. We had a great time. Again, if you haven't checked out our interview, they kind of give you an idea of what they're doing, like what's going on with their channel, like how they started. Obviously they have a YouTube channel, but I would say a primary importance of their audience is through their SoundCloud. But this, I had no idea this first part was in here. They obviously probably recorded it after the fact, all that sort of stuff. But I just want to say I've known Justin for a long time, like he said in this portion, and I had just met Daryl, and he's fantastic. What a lovely guy. But to have somebody say such great things about me, like I mean, not to say that I'm a bad person or anything, but to have somebody else recognize what you do and what you've been doing, and keeping up with your stuff, I can't honestly and truly thank Justin and Gerald for like just checking out my stuff, like, and to all of you that watch these videos and watch these album reviews and watch all this stuff, like, it's time that I spend out of my day that I love doing this, like it's something that I, don't want to ever give up, hopefully, like life willing and stuff like that. It's just been, such a fantastic experience. Everybody's just so positive about, music in general. And, there's a lot of stuff that happens in life. And so like, it's cool to just, link up with Justin, like he said, he asked me to do this a while ago. And, it was cool to just, again, be in that sort of space of somebody else doing it, having very, accomplished musicians on here and athletes on here that like really are doing a great job at what they do. And obviously like it shows because they've been grinding it out. But I want to give a lot of props to these guys because I feel like, again, which they discussed in the interview, they were kind of brought together in a unique way, and it was really cool to see their progression and their journey as, a podcast. And, again, it almost had seemed like they had been doing it for forever. So shouts to Justin, shouts to Daryl. I'm going to continue it on. I'm done with my soapbox speech. But I wanted to just give the recognition that they deserve too, because like, again, they are talking a lot of positive things about me, but I also want to give them the positive and recognition that they deserve too. So thank you guys for having me on. Thank you for wanting to chat. And like, again, for those of you who don't know, I'm like basically gonna go over like my whole experience of like starting YouTube, like why I wanted to do it and all that stuff, and like where I'm at today, and like some of the stuff that at the time was really big, and it still is really big opportunities that I have going on. So again, salutes to Daryl and Justin. I will continue to train. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching this thing. So here we go.
To our boy B. Joining us today on the Everyman Podcast is a good friend of mine. He is a musician. He is an entrepreneur. He is my favorite YouTuber. Here to kick off the very first Everyman Swapcast. Ladies and gentlemen, my good brother, Brandon from the Audio Addiction.
We love ya.
My brother, what's going on,
God.
Brandon?
Justin, thank you so much for having me on.
Man,
I've been watching your guys' podcast since day one, and it is an incredible honor. So thank you for just having me on and talking the shit.
Hey, man.
We love you, B.
We love you, bro.
man.
We're happy to have you. Likewise, it's an honor. And as I said to you in my Facebook message, this is the crossover event of the century.
It is.
And we're here to break it down today and get into what you're all about and a little bit about what the Everyman is all about. So right off the bat, my friend, tell us about yourself, where you're from, and what are you doing? What's up?
Well, I just moved, so now I live in Burlington, New Jersey.
Shout out.
I've always lived in New Jersey for my entire life.
Mhm.
Fun fact, as most people know or may not see, I am of Asian descent, but I was actually adopted at a very young age, 10 months, and I actually just celebrated my adoption day on Monday, so that was really cool.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. Happy Prime Day.
Bro.
Thank you. And the reason I got started into doing this YouTube thing was I was in my senior year of college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was getting my marketing degree, and I was like, you know what? I love music. Like, that's something I'm really passionate about, something I'm really driven about. I'm sure you can speak on that too, Justin. But like, it was something I was really stoked about, and I was like, how am I going to like integrate this into like business and stuff like that? And so I started a YouTube channel because I was just like, YouTube's cool. Let me see what I can do with that, and like, figure out what's gonna happen. I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I just wanted to be in the music industry. So I started Audio Addiction about 3+ years ago, maybe like 3.5 years ago now. And it's been nothing but amazing. I've interviewed your band Extractus and whatever other projects you may have in the looms, but it's been fantastic, and I would not trade it for anything.
I'm gonna pause
been
this
awesome.
real quick.
Instagram. I'm on YouTube live. Come hang out. I'm actually reacting to my first ever interview. I will probably still stay live on the phone, but you won't be able to hear it. So if you want to listen to it, come hang out, watch it through there. But shoutouts to Justin, the Everyman Podcast. Shoutouts to Daryl. Love you guys. So check it out. But I'm gonna go back to this. If you just want to hang out here, ask me some questions. It's a Q&A, so feel free to ask me what you like. If not, ask me on YouTube as well. So thank you guys for watching.
So tell me a little bit about what it took to start your YouTube channel.
What's up, Brandon? Love you, dude.
Okay, so what it took to start my YouTube channel. First of all, great question. Always gotta rep the good questions.
Hey man, it's the Everyman way.
That's interesting because I've never had to answer this before in kind of this sort of format. But I feel like what got me really excited about it was I feel like I wanted to be a musician, just never really found my stride to do it, and so I feel like with the basis of going to school for business and stuff like that, I felt like it was well in my lane to maybe do something in more of the background as like a manager or like a talent scout, something like that. And so and the reason why I chose YouTube as a medium is like everybody watches videos on YouTube now, so it's like for me it was a no-brainer. I really felt like at home with YouTube, and growing up I felt like I wasn't very like talkative, and the only things I was really talkative about was music, and that was something I genuinely enjoyed, and I didn't have a problem speaking to anybody else about music. And so when it came time to start the channel, I was like I have to start a YouTube channel and do music. Like I feel like that's the only thing that's right to do, other than maybe like represent Nintendo. Like that was the only other thing I was thinking about, was like maybe I could do like video games or something like that. But I was like, music has always been there for me. Growing up, like my parents are big like classic rock fans, so that was like kind of like the baseline of things, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do, was just like have a YouTube channel, talk to people. And I would definitely say like if you talk to me 4 years ago, we wouldn't even be having this sort of conversation, because I would just be so like, I guess I wouldn't even say sheltered, but just like so reserved. And now I feel like because of the channel that I am so more like outgoing. I definitely like when I see people at shows and they're having a good time, like I'll go and say what's up, and obviously that's how we became friends as well. But like I would have never in my wildest years would have imagined I'd be, doing a YouTube channel and literally talking about it on a podcast now. That would be so strange for me. So it's really cool. And again, it's been nothing but a blessing for like the past 3+ years.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's
super sweet.
I was watching back the interview that you and I did, Brandon, with yes. Our bass player Mike at the time, and then I watched some of your more recent stuff, and I could really see, one that how much your production quality has gotten better over time, and I can see where you're investing, money in gear in different ways, and just like a classic musician, always investing in their gear. And but like you said, man, your confidence in your interviews and the people you're talking to, and just talking to you now, man, it's great seeing that your development there, and I know from experience here, Daryl can probably say the same. It's had a very similar effect for both of us since we've gotten started on this cosmic journey that we're all sharing here.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And it's cool too, because like you guys, like again, like I love checking out what other people do and stuff. And when you had initially approached me about doing this, I was just like I would have never expected that, because like you've interviewed like people from Dream Theater, Between the Buried and Me, and those are all bands that I look up to as like not only a fan of music, but as like a person who curates a lot of music. I was just like, to be in the same like company as that is like beyond what I could ever imagine. So thank you, Justin, Gerald. It's crazy. I would have if you told me this like 5 years ago, I would not believe you. It's so crazy.
Hey man, well, we respect what you do, and we're fans of what you do, and it's our honor to have you, man. So, as far as we're concerned, we're all in this together, man. So, tell me about a little bit of your influences as a musician. Like, what did you grow up listening to, and what are you listening to now? What's your deal?
Okay, so more back then, my parents obviously big classic rock fans, so I grew up listening to like Kiss, Styx, Boston, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, like all the classic rock bands you think of. Like, they had anything going on. Obviously, my uncle was a big like oldies fan, so like, anything like Motown, stuff like that I listened to growing up. As a young teen, I started listening to a lot of like, my parents are religious, so I listened to like, one of the fonder memories that I can remember is August Burns Red is one of those bands that I grew up listening to. I still love their stuff.
From Lancaster.
And so, from Lancaster. And so every time I think I definitely being blessed living close to Philly, like seeing them so many times in their element, I think really brought out that endearing spirit of like listening to metal and really getting into it. And then, like kind of to traverse that as well, like Devil Wears Prada, Under Oath, stuff like that. Those were bands that, again, I was quote unquote allowed to listen to at a young age. So those were the things. And then when I was learning guitar, my teacher at the time, he was somebody, shouts to my man Pat, he's the one who taught me how to play guitar, and like rock star, like long blonde hair, all that stuff. And he listened to like Iron Maiden, like all those really like shredder bands. And so that's what, and I got into that sort of stuff, and that's obviously how I got into metal, like Guns N' Roses, things of that nature. And then more recently, I would say, I listen to anything.
I would like to add also, like, it's funny because like I don't say it. I say it to other bands that I have on, and I think it's funny. But I was suffering from a major like you forget things, like when you're doing interviews and stuff, like, I never knew on the like flip side of it of like, oh man, like I completely forgot like some answers that I felt like should have been in there. So some of the other bands that like I grew up listening to that I love and I still love to this day that like really influenced me like after I got out of like, listening to like a lot of Christian music, was like bands like My Chemical Romance, The Used, Yellow Card, I'm trying to think who else even at the time currently, but those definitely were like some of the bigger influences. Like Sugar Cult was another band. I know, I'm trying to think who else like off the top of my head. Like Reliant K was another big one. And there was like a ton of others that really got me into like doing music and like really kind of like realizing like what type of bands I like, stuff like that. Like I love, like, again, Norma Jean's really awesome. And then I've kind of not to like completely forget, but like I don't even remember what I picked currently at that time in terms of like what I was listening to more currently. It's probably pretty similar to what I listen to now, even though like I cycle through a lot of music. But yeah, those were like a lot of bands that I listened to like growing up. Like Old Fall Out Boy is another one, like Green Day, like all those ones that you would like hear on like, like one of those like atypical like classic like Tony Hawk Pro Skater records, like MXPX. Trying to think who else, like just a lot of like pop punk, like emo. Like I love Taking Back Sunday, shouts to them, they're from New Jersey, love those guys. Like just a lot of things, Circus Survive, Seosin, a lot of those bands like helped formulate like who I was young and like like who I listen to now, and like, obviously I still hold like a lot of those records in high praise, like and then another band that I'm wearing, actually, Envy on the Coast. They're another band that I like love, 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 love. And so it's really cool to have those bands, still obviously make it like really into my rotation still, even though that some of them may have disbanded or like they're in different bands. Like I know Anthony Green's like obviously in Circus Survive, and obviously he did like a record with Seosin, and Cove's doing another band, Dead American. And so like those are a lot of bands that I like grew up listening to that I felt like I kind of left out, not on purpose, but like I left out for some reason, just because I feel like it's the interview, like you blank on certain things. But I figured I'd add that in just in case, because I know like not many people have the opportunity to like re-answer their answers, but those were bands that again were like some of the first ones. Dashboard Confessionals, another one I can think of. Cartel, I know a lot of people maybe not know that band, but they were super popular, that I loved. I'm trying to think who else. Like not really as much All Time Low, like Mayday Parade I listened to, obviously, like continuing in with like emo fashion. But yeah, like those were some of those bands that I could think of off the top of the dome that I feel like I didn't really talk about in the interview that we did. So I figure I'd get into those, but we're gonna continue on, and here's more of the podcast.
Thinking from like metalcore, I love indie music. I'm really into jazz too, so like bands like Snarky Puppy I love. Hope to see them in a couple months. Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, Between the Buried and Me, Dream Theater, those are bands that I grew up listening to as well and listen to now. But as of currently, I am listening to the new North Lane record.
That's very cool. It's
so
actually,
yeah.
Sorry to cut in there.
No problem.
I've never really listened to North Lane, like just passively, and one of the guys in the band, they were talking about it, so I actually turned it on, and I really dig it. It's like it's got this industrial. It's like the summer of industrial music. It's
I feel like for me, it was like if Nine Inch Nails was just that heavier, like if they had like screams and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what it reminds me of. But I would say that I'm really into this band that disbanded a while ago. They're called Lower Than Atlantis. They're like a rock band from Britain, Great Britain, and so
Great Britain.
Great Britain,
Great
and
Britain.
please don't take that out of context. You horrible impression.
So do we.
So bad.
But yeah, no, I like love them. And then one of my favorite bands, which I had the opportunity of interviewing, is I the Mighty. I love that band to death, and I had the opportunity to interview them this year, and so
Shouts to
that is one to check off my bucket list of cool bands to interview. So that was just a surreal moment. I still, every time I talk about it, it just gives me like those chills. So
I will also say some other bands that I don't think I mentioned, but we're still kind of currently in that lineup of music that I listen to. I still listen to now, and I love throwing them into the rotation. Is Bill Murray, which is Johnny Frank's band. If you're familiar with Johnny Frank, he used to be in Attack, and this is his new like project. Check them out. They are fantastic. They're actually going out on tour with Capstan in like a month. So love those guys. Every opportunity I try to do a review of the newest record, so I'll have to do. I don't think I did a review of Wet Milk, so I'll have to do that. But they're fantastic. He writes in such an awesome way. Another bands I don't know if I mentioned or not, like Rich Brian, Joji. I still listen to them heavily. They are awesome. I love them, and I'm trying to branch into like new genres. So, love having them in the rotation. I'm trying to think. Also, at the time I was listening to, I was also listening to like Era, and there's definitely another one like Pacific. They're fantastic. Another fantastic band from Canada. Really great stuff. They are awesome. I cannot talk enough about them. But those were some of the bands that I don't think I mentioned, but that I was heavily listening to at that time. So we will continue again as well.
Definitely them, and then just trying to switch it up. I try to listen to like rap now and stuff like that. I've been listening to like Joji,
I did say that.
Rich Brian.
I didn't think I did.
Trying to think who else I listen to.
Have you heard of Maxo Cream yet?
Maxo Cream, yeah.
I like Maxo Cream.
He's good, yeah. Who else? Black Bear.
Yeah, still, yeah.
Stuff that I feel like people wouldn't normally associate me listening to.
Hot
like,
Girl Bummer
so I try to think of those out the box sort of things. Unfortunately, I'm not a country fan, so do not send me country. I can't get down with that. That is something
no little Nas X. No.
Little Nas X.
Maybe Nas X. I'll give. Okay.
No, it's on road. Oh my gosh.
I'll give it to Nas X. I'll give it.
Yeah,
I'll give it to
he's
him.
killing it right now. Good for him. Now, Daryl, what actually, I wanted to ask you this. He's talking about how it's a very similar experience that I've had and every musician has had, where you get to a drum teacher or a guitar teacher, whatever it is, and they're like, hey, well, I know you really like Lamb of God, but have you heard of Meshuggah? And then you're like, oh,
That's
what
true.
the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
So in the locker room, bro, like, tell us a little bit about like the music culture in the locker room. Like when you're in the league and when you're in college, are you guys like you sharing music? Are there coaches sharing music? Like what's that music culture like?
Dude,
cool.
you'd
I like this.
you'd be surprised how eclectic most locker rooms are, man. Like it's not just hip hop, it's not just like techno, it's not just country, it's not just rock, it's not just metal, it's like everything. It's like music as far as sports is all about the vibe. And so if you can get that vibe down, no matter what it is, like everybody's going to be in tune to it, because you need that extra little bit to get you going before you start, slapping people, man. So that's just what it's all about. Like it whether it's DMX or the freaking hamster dance. I mean, I've seen dudes just lose it to the hamster dance, bro. And I'm like, for a split second, you're like, what is he listening to? And you look over to like your locker mate, and then you look, they're and it's over. You just lose your stuff. So it just doesn't matter whatever it is. It's just the vibe, man. It's just a vibe, It's
amazing the power that music has. When I know there's certain things. If I'm having a rough day or I had a tough day, at work, on my way home, I'll put on a little Toto. I'll be singing Rosanna all the way home, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it brings you up, it brings you down. It can make you sad when you're happy. It can make you happy when you're sad. And, one of the things, Brandon, that we think is just so cool, and what we're trying to do here is we connect these dots across, space and time and sports and music and, and everybody that we talk to, whether it's yourself or somebody like Mike Mangini or Tajay Sharp on the Tennessee Titans, we all love music, and it's like all a part of what pushes us. And Daryl over at NFL Films, one of the things that makes NFL Films so special is, the music and being, that's the difference maker to me. Was part of the presentation was always the music, and which is why it was such an honor for Extractus to be involved in that, and even a small part. And that's something that I think
I don't know if I think
is really important today, that people kind of share music across culture, Brandon, like you're saying. People may not peg you for a rap guy, but like, yeah, you're keeping up with that. And people say the same about me. They're surprised when I trying to stay diversified, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it keeps everything fresh too, like sometimes when I'm listening to music, I'm like, man, this gets stale. Like if you listen to the same band or you listen to like same group of bands, like you're like, man, like what can I do to just make it interesting? Like what can I listen to that like really broadens my horizons as just as somebody who curates a lot of music. I think it's easy for me to just be like, yeah, I love metalcore. Like that's like people are going to assume that, or they think that I like Yo-Yo Ma or something like that, just because
Yo-Yo
Asians represent. But like it's crazy when I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to anything from like like I said earlier, Joji to like Meshuggah or like Chelsea Grin or whatever. So I think it's something that I've always strived to do. Like obviously early on, it's on a keep kind of a basis, but later I was just like, I feel like this year in particular, like I want to try to listen to different stuff. I want to try to review different stuff. I want to try to have different artists on that you wouldn't typically see. I mean, I've had a few rappers here and there throughout my time, but I definitely like to have more on because it's a nice perspective change from myself, from what I typically interview, the people that I typically interview. And so I think, you get different answers out of different people from different walks of life, obviously. So it's cool. And that's one of the many reasons why I love doing what I do, is because I get to speak with like this. This would never have happened in my entire life, but it's a great conversation. And so it's hard to it's hard to imagine somebody else's shoes, but you can definitely understand where they're coming from if you or we're having a great conversation where we're listening to each other and going from there pretty much.
Yo, I gotta say something real quick. The one thing I do love about music, period, it's like the perfect icebreaker, man. Especially especially if you don't know, you don't know about a certain genre or a certain group. Like I'm in LA Fitness this morning, getting my pump in the gym. I go in the hot box for like 20 minutes, and I'm before I start playing my my music on my little portable speaker.
You say you sauna before you guys? You sauna pre-pump?
No, dude. This is like after my 2 hour, my 2.5 hour pump. I go in the hot box for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Bars. So then I get in there, and then it's guys. I before I get it, because you got like older gentlemen, you got a younger guy.
Oh yeah.
There's always an old guy in the sauna.
I'm like, hey,
there's always one old guy.
Yeah, dude. So
and he's never wearing a towel.
I'm sitting. He's never wearing a towel, dude. Just sagging and dragging, bro. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, you guys, I'm gonna play this music on my speaker. I don't want to offend anybody. How do we feel about Motown? And nobody says anything. I'm like, no, okay, so no Motown. What about metal? Nobody says anything. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do this, and then I start playing the Rolling Stones, Painted Black, and
classic.
this young guy is in there. He has to be about 17, 18. He's like, who is that? And I'm like,
it's Mick Jagger, son.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gods. So, and he's like, do they have more music? I'm like, I'm sure you could find them.
Knowledge is power, right?
let me school you. And so we have for the next 5-10 minutes, we're walking outside. He follows me to my car. I'm telling him all about Rolling Stones and where they came from and how they originated. That's and awesome. Then he's like, I'm gonna go home and listen to all this stuff right now. And I think that's the cool thing about music, man. Because no matter what era you're in, no matter what the times are, music itself, it's all about community. It's timeless, and something that I listen to all the time. Someone may have never heard, and then boom, relationship, man. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's really awesome.
It's a great way to open up, doors to people, because I know, Brandon, kind of like what you're talking about, somebody looks at you, might think you listen to a certain thing. Growing up, I kind of didn't fit into one group of people. I was an athlete, and then I started having my heart issues, and then that identity was gone, and then I leaned into my musician identity and grew that, but then I was kind of caught in between this, I had friends that were athletes, and I had friends that were band nerds, and I had friends that were just nerds, and I would go to a metal show, and I would feel like I was a part of something, because I was I looking around, and it's like, oh man, all these dudes got long hair and camo shorts too. This is sick. These are my people. And but I didn't see, a guy, a girl, an Asian, or this or that. It was oh no, that when I see somebody walking around with a Lamb of God shirt, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got something in common with them. Same thing.
Dude, yeah.
Same thing. Man, we talked about it before. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. If I'm walking around and I see somebody in a wrestling shirt, I'm like, hey man, nice shirt. That's awesome. Cause I want him to know hey, look, I'm out here too, just like you, bro. Yeah. And that's about music, because it's you can share these experiences. And great example, I got to take Daryl to Dream Theater, and he had never. So he went from never knowing about them existing to being on stage with watching Mike Mangini drum behind his drums, and the love connection that is Daryl Campbell and Mike Mangini. It's amazing.
It's strong.
Your brain must have exploded, Daryl.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well,
and then
here's the thing,
watching 3 hours of Dream Theater, it's
bro, like these dudes are freaking superheroes, man. Like
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, well, you got the 1% of the 1% of the NFL, and you get baseball, and basketball, and whatever, and then like you see Mangini climb in his cockpit, surrounded by devising that like.
Oh man.
It's like in a horror film, and he just rocks this thing, man. Like fucking all over the place, and like.
If you have any
Dude,
questions,
just bleeding
shoot
sweat,
them
and
in
it just
in that
and
comment
it's
section, you
all
feel?
freaking
In the chat.
precision and accuracy, and you can see the practice, you can hear the work,
answer
you can
anything,
feel it in your
pretty
chest,
much.
dude.
Within
We're
reason.
out in
I'll
the
answer it.
crowd, and I'm hearing it. That's
Or
so,
say, hey,
dude.
what's
It's
up?
like I can't. Bro, Justin, you knew how I was when I was there. Like I was losing it.
He was like, I don't know if he was ready to fight or fuck or what. It was like a combination of the two. Like he could have done. I would not have been surprised if Daryl did anything at that moment, because,
Or if he did both.
or yeah, exactly, because he was overwhelmed with
Got
like,
jokes. Oh,
what
it's
am I
Dana,
seeing?
my sister.
Also,
Yeah.
this is super emotional, and like we had just hung out with them all day, and it was just this crazy experience, and like
Oh yeah.
driving home was just like, damn, like like dude, wow.
I lost like 10 pounds just watching Dream Theater. Like it's a workout, like literally. And like I didn't know whether to do like air kung fu or sit down or freaking cry because it was so freaking awesome. And like, and the thing too is just being around just everyone. And we talk about like music being that mode that you need, that model to contain all of your like just like spirit, bro. Like everybody was in tune with it, and like I felt like I was rolling as the music was rolling with hundreds of people in this tightly packed, just powerful place. And you see Petrucci up there just right in the I mean, it was just, and like he's just guns are flexed and like
It's fucking yoked out with that beard.
That dude is yoked out. Yes.
no, it's like it was
I've
nuts.
never-
It was freaking
never
nuts.
And it's like, man, and Daryl, he's
yoked
played in the
out,
NFL. He's played,
That was the first time.
and at the highest level in college at Notre
Yeah.
Dame, and it's like all those emotional experiences. I'm not saying one's better than the other, and this is just me saying, but it's a different, noticeable situation when you see.
Oh.
And it's not like every band, but there's certain performers out there that you see them, and it does something to you, and it's like, oh, I've never felt that before, and you find people that like maybe they're not really into music like you are, because sometimes to people like normal people, quote unquote, non-musicians or non-music enthusiasts, they'll think like, man, you're really overanalyzing this. It's like, well, I can't really help it. It's like the way my brain works. Like I'm really into this, and it's just it's a great thing to be able to share, and like I said, it helps people find where they fit in.
Yeah, bro.
And I saw this like one article I thought was really cool, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I feel like it would be. But it was something about like if you're a musician and you get like goosebumps when you like hear a song, it's like you're unlocking like a certain portion of your brain that like other people aren't attuned to, and so it's crazy to think like that. And I feel like it's true, because like sometimes I'll listen to a song and I'll just be like, whoa, this is like, wow, this is awesome. And like I think I get the same feeling when I go to a show and stuff and see like a band just like ripping it on the stage, like moving around, like having a good time, really just like going insane. And I had this one time I remember, and I've said it in a few of my interviews that I've done, but one of my favorite memories of like going to shows and stuff, I saw this one band, I'm pretty sure Justin might be familiar with them, Let Live. They disbanded a while ago, and Jason Butler now does another band that's
Jason.
more
Come
like
on, Jason.
kind of like a
Let's do an
hip hop, like rock, like maybe more like Rage Against the Machine kind of vibes. But they opened for Under Oath, which again, one of my favorite bands growing up, and so I saw them on their farewell tour, and Let Live opened the tour, and all I can remember is going to this sold out show in Union Transfer. Shout out to Union Transfer, I love that place.
Love those guys.
All I remember is him and I think like the stage crew or something like that picked up like the bass cab, threw it out into the crowd, and then Jason was like, "Yo, I'm gonna count this in." And when I count this in, I'm gonna jump on that bass cab, and you're gonna surf me around in the venue. And the song, he does like the hi-hat 1, 2, 3, and all I see him is run off the stage, hop on this bass cab, and all of these people like crowd over to this bass cab and just start like surfing him. He's like singing like a madman, and it is again that I definitely say that is one of the coolest moments in my entire life. Also, like I don't think any band could top that moment for me. It was just so
I can agree,
wild. And I know other people have seen that band and they've said like even crazier stuff, but just to be there and to witness that, and he was just wild all over the set, like just going ham. And so I gotta give him a lot of respect and props, and I always love telling that story because it's like one of those moments that I'm like, I'll may or may not be able to ever experience that again, but I will never forget that moment in my entire life.
That's all.
I will say, like, shout outs to Jason Butler. If you haven't checked out like any of Let Live stuff, go check it out. Some of my favorites is like Mother. That one's probably one of my favorites for sure. And they have a ton of like brilliantly arranged tracks. Like they're very original. Like I legitimately can't think of another band that is like remotely close to what they do. But I wanted to give some love to Jason because I feel like, you know, everybody has their Jason Butler story, especially like if you are familiar with the scene, like you know how he is and stuff like that. And like his new band, the Fever 333, they're awesome. And I know he has other band called Pressure Cracks, which is like more of like, you know, like some of the stuff like if you wish that like Let Live was heavier, basically. Check out his stuff. Like again, I am not endorsed or paid by just Jason to say this stuff, but I wanted to give him a shout outs because again, he's one of my favorite live performers. I don't think I'll ever be able to top that story because that was really awesome. They're a fantastic band. I'm kind of mad they disbanded, but I'm glad that the Fever is still alive and well and kicking it. But you should check out that band as well as Let Live if you haven't already. They're fantastic, and I'm sure you can find like videos on YouTube of Jason just going ham live. It's awesome to see. But let's get back into it. We only have a little bit left. Thanks guys for sticking with this and hanging out, and if you have any questions that you want to ask me, feel free to let me know.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, dude.
Well, last question here before we kick this interview over to the other
audio addiction
of the Swapcast, the audio addiction. What is your dream interview? Who's the number one dream interview guest that you would have? We at the Everyman Podcast, we're big into bringing things into the universe via the cosmic canoe. So we are handing you a paddle, and we're inviting you into the canoe. So put it out there. What's your dream interview?
I want to say, I want to keep stopping you, but I wanted to talk about this one. So this is a fantastic question. Whether Daryl or Justin or both of you had come up with it, I love this one. I might steal it because I love it so much. And I kind of ask it in a more musical sense, but I was really taken aback by this. Like I wanted to pick something like within a realm of possibility. Obviously this is very much like a dream answer, but like, you know, I think, which I'll let myself say it. But like, I don't know, like I honestly and truly, like I the answer that I picked, I still like, it would be fantastic, it would be awesome, but like I like generally, like if I'm thinking about the question now, like in a more live perspective, because obviously this is live, I think I would have to go like obviously with the answer that I have already because I really can't take it back, but I would have to say, like, I really would love to interview Under Oath. Like, I know one of the answers that I picked is kind of in the same lane as that, but I feel like Under Oath would be very cool just because, like, I know a lot about him. Like, I've been a fan for a very long time. You know, I went to, like, the reunion show that they did. I went to their finale show. I actually have a poster in my apartment of them all. They signed my poster. I think they only made like 100 posters in Philly, and I have all of their signatures, and it's hanging on my wall framed, and it's one of my favorite things, and it's probably one of those things that I'll never get rid of. Like, it will remain forever with me, and it's one of those pieces that I feel like I couldn't live without. But I feel like that one would be my answer. I mean, like, if you told me, you know, like maybe a year ago, I probably would have said I the Mighty, but I was lovely and fortunate enough to be able to interview with them at the beginning of this year. Shoutouts to Becky over at Big Picture for getting that one wrangled up. That was awesome, and they were fantastic. And if you haven't checked that interview out, it's one of my favorites. I mean, obviously, I'm being very biased, but it's one of my favorite ones that I've done. And but yeah, I would have to say Under Oath. Like, if I really had to say it, and like obviously the answer that I chose, I would love to do that too. But that would be very awesome. And then maybe like as like kind of like a like I wouldn't even say throwaway answer, but like one that would also be very cool would also be A Day to Remember, just because I'm a massive fan of what they do and what they've been doing. I'm probably not. I'm not gonna screw myself, but I feel like, you know, they're one of those timeless bands that I grew up listening to, especially in like my high school years, that I feel like would be very awesome to interview. So those I think those would be my three, which again I'll play it and you'll hear my third answer. But I feel like those currently would be very awesome. They're very big opportunities. Bring Me the Horizon would be another very awesome one as well. I would say those four are the ones that I feel like would align with my brand and align with me. So I would say, like, again, Under Oath, A Day to Remember, and I just said it. I like don't remember it, but those are my three that I can think of, and then additionally the one that I will be answering now. So I'm gonna play the rest of it, guys.
I think if you told me last year, I would have definitely said I the Mighty, no holds bar. But like I said earlier, I was so fortunate to interview them. But I would definitely say, kind of going back to my first answer that I mentioned, August Burns Red. Like, I don't feel like they're too far off where like I couldn't do it. But they have meant so much to me as an individual growing up as a preteen, not really knowing much about life, and like just kind of struggling with like identity as being obviously an adopted person. And so I found great solitude in music, and so they were again one of those bands that I grew up listening to and just, you know, have always kept with me. And so I feel like that would be just kind of the crowning moment for me, is if I interviewed them. I think that would be awesome. I really can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, maybe like Under Oath or like Devil Wears Prada, but definitely I feel like any of those three I would be just uber blessed if that happened to come through the cosmic waves into the universe and stuff like that.
Well, it's coming for you, brother. So where can the Everyman audience find you? Where can they get the audio diction?
All right. Well, this is so strange because usually I ask this question to other people, so now I'm gonna have to remember it. So now I'm trying to remember all of it. Twitter, you can find me at audioaddiction_. Instagram is probably my more popular one, up there with Facebook, but it's Audio Addiction Media. Same with YouTube. I post interviews every Mondays and Fridays around 5 p.m. If you're in a band and you happen to be listening to this Everyman podcast, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to get your band on, even if you feel like we wouldn't jive. I mean, obviously we're driving now, and I've obviously known Justin for a long time. I haven't known Daryl as long, but I think we're good friends now, and so
We're in the
Safe to say,
cosmic canoe, bro.
we're in the canoe
we're in the
together.
cosmic canoe together.
We're in there for life.
So I would definitely say hit me up on any social media. I would love to have your band on and hopefully spotlight your talent and your craft. So and then Facebook, like I said, Audio Addiction Media, and what I got coming up. I am posting an interview tomorrow with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, a classic band from that time frame, and another fantastic band, Oh Sleeper, and they're from Texas. They've come back, and so I had the lucky opportunity to interview them as well. So, and again, just check out the YouTube channel. Always got something a brewing all the time.
My man Brandon, it's been a pleasure, and we will catch you on the other side.
Oh man. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm feeling that podcast high. Again, I know I said it at the beginning of this live video, but massive shout outs to Daryl and Justin for having me on. Again, to be in such company as like literally Dream Theater, Between the Buried and Me, and some really fantastic athletes is awesome. What they're doing at the Everyman Podcast is fantastic, and I will leave links to them in the description as soon as this video is over with, hopefully. And if you haven't already, checked out our interview. It was awesome. Daryl and Justin were awesome guests to have on. It felt very much like a conversation, people hanging out, chilling, which is, always my intention when doing interviews. But they're fantastic people. Like I said, I've known Justin for a very long time, and every opportunity that I can to help him do what he does is what I can try to do. So please go check out the Everyman Podcast. Check out our interview. If you like this, you will very much enjoy our interview together. And they kind of talk about like how they met as people, and like, how they all started out on the journey of doing a podcast together and things of that nature. But it was a wonderful time. I'm even getting kind of a little bit emotional watching this and listening to it myself. It was very cool. And, again, thanks to Justin for the opportunity. It was really awesome to not like only, be on the podcast, but also just to be like interviewed. Like I never thought that I would ever get to the fame or have the accolades to do something like this. So it was very cool to chat about music and like about how I started out doing stuff. And I'd love to come on and give more of an expanded version of that. Or if you'd like me to make a video of myself talking about like, how I started out doing just audio addiction, how I started out like getting into music and stuff of that nature, and like really kind of delving into more of the YouTube game and things of that nature. It was really cool to kind of, again, kind of spotlight a very small portion of my life, but has wind up becoming a very big part of my life now. And thank you guys again for supporting what I do, whether it's here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that sort of stuff, or if you just know me in person and you've been following my journey over the past 3 years. It's been very awesome. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for the support, the love, everything that's going on. It really, honestly, truly means a lot. I've put a lot of time and effort and just love into this channel, and I love having bands on and really just, doing what you do. Like, my whole thing is like, positive PMA, positive mental attitude. Like I feel like every person deserves their time and their spotlight as an artist, as a musician, whatever it may be. And it's very cool to be a part of that movement and be a part of that love. So if you are struggling with being creative, or struggling with creating music, just give it some time. Like it doesn't come in a day. Like the Rome wasn't built in a day. This whole channel wasn't built yesterday. I've worked very hard for what I've gotten, and I couldn't be more humbled and blessed to be in the position that I am now. So thank you guys for getting me there. Thank you guys for supporting. Hopefully you like this reaction video. I don't do too many of them. I might start doing them more in the future. So if you are interested in that, let me know. I would love to see what you guys think about it. If you like more of the reactionary stuff where I'm literally in front of my camera hanging out, if that's something you might be interested in seeing more, let me know. It's very awesome. Some content that I have coming up, new Tiny Moving Parts review. I hope to have that out very shortly. Hopefully, if it's not tomorrow, it will definitely be over this weekend. I am going to see Angels and Airwaves tomorrow, as well as the Don Broco show. So if you are at either of those, which are at the Fillmore and the Foundry, which they're both together, come say what's up. I feel like I'm a very personable human being doing this whole music thing. So if you do watch the channel and you live in Philadelphia, come say what's good. I would love to come say hi and talk to you about stuff if you have any questions, things of that nature. So I have that going on, and then I have a few other shows that are coming up that I'm very excited about, and that will be very fun in the future. Tons of interviews, album reviews, live sets coming to the channel very soon. So keep an eye out. Like I said earlier, I may have been fighting with, no pun intended, myself with the podcast. I have changed the schedule up, so I will be posting Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in terms of interviews. So I just have a lot in backlog, and I wanted to get more out to you guys. So check them out. I spend a lot of time working on those, and so if you are interested in seeing content like that, let me know. And just anything else, I'd love to do more skits, some more fun stuff. So let me know if you want to see those. I've done a few of them. Shouts to James in Visenya. He's the one who edited our little skit. If you haven't seen that, check it out on our Instagram page. Hilarious. It's very fun. We did kind of a family, a family sitcom intro with a little video. So check that out. I did also a very funny skit with the Good Friends in Good Fall, which will be coming out very soon as well. It was very funny, and hopefully you guys will check that out as well. And like I said, tons of awesome other stuff coming out in the pipelines. And thank you guys for just the support, the love. If you want to support me more, I have left a link to our merch store, or my merch store. Consider picking something up. It's I know some people have asked me how's the best way to support the channel. Is by buying merch. I know I don't really plug it too often, just because I feel like I don't want to be even more narcissistic. But if you want to continue to see me do content and put out some awesome stuff, and you want to support me, please check the link in the description to pick up some merch. And then if not, I have a Patreon, which I am going to be revamping and stuff like that. So check that out if you're interested in signing up to that as well. But for the meantime, check out the merch. It's a shirt. Literally, you can buy a shirt. It will get shipped to you, and then it will go directly to me. I'm planning on doing kind of a fundraiser of some sorts. All of my monies will go to donation. I want to find a really good cause that supports music. So I will give you more information on that when it comes, but I love the opportunity to give back. So definitely am excited to do that. I'll probably start doing that maybe November, December, when, the holiday time, when people are more easily available to give. So thank you guys again for the support, the love of the channel. It honestly means a lot. Thank you to the 3 people that are watching this video. I don't know who you are, so I know one of them is my sister, so shout outs to my sister Dana. Love you. But thank you guys for watching this. Again, it's such a surreal feeling to have an interview out and for people to care about me as an individual enough to, speak about myself literally. And I don't think I'm very good at doing that, but it was an awesome time. And again, shout outs to Daryl and Justin. I don't know how many times I said that in this whole live video, but I feel like they deserve a lot of recognition for what they do. And they're definitely an inspiration of mine, continuing to do the channel and stuff like that, which I didn't really talk about too much. But I will say, kind of to round out like the whole live video, is like some of the people that really wanted to started me into getting into like doing interviews and stuff. Is I watch a lot of like thank you, Dana. I watch a lot of late night talk show hosts, and I always felt like it was a very cool thing, even though I was probably a little bit more nervous about doing something like that. But they definitely were a big influence on like what I do now. But I would say in terms of the YouTube game, is Tim Kayam of Kayam Interviews. He does. I don't think he does live interview, or not live. I don't think he does interviews anymore. But you should definitely check out his YouTube channel because he is awesome. I felt like what he did was stupid underrated, and he was like one of the main inspirations of me like getting into the whole music thing and like wanting to do it as like a YouTuber and stuff like that. Like I can remember I was at college and I was watching one of his like interviews like in the like commuter lounge, and it was just cool, and I was just like, well, like why can't I do this? And so like I think like the next day or two, like I was like starting to come up with stuff. I had asked people like to maybe like make up a logo and stuff, and it was very cool. And that's pretty much how like I got the ball rolling. And I don't feel like I talked about him enough in like some of the live videos or some of just the videos in general, like just in terms of interviews that I've done. But which is this one. This is the only one that I've done. But I wanted to cite him as like an influence of like wanting to do the whole audio addiction thing was like Kayam Interviews. He does some, like I said, awesome work. Check out his stuff. I don't know if he'll get back into doing interviews or not, but like you can check out his old stuff. It's really like, again, one of the big reasons why I started to do it. And, it was one of the biggest reasons why I like wanted to start doing the whole audio addiction thing was because of him. And then, I also wanted to kind of break the stereotype of like Brian Stars. He's not the best person, and I don't care if I'm admitting it on the internet, but like most people know he's not a great person, and I'm really not the type of person to talk very slanderous about people. But I think just the way he went about interviews, I wanted it to have a positive spin and have more of a conversation aspect to what I do. So as much as I really didn't like him, I'd also say that he inspired me to start doing it and to like really credit people that do art and do all that sort of stuff. And also like to a lot of the bands that I started to do interviews with, especially the ones that like starting out like early on, that like really helped me get my start. I want to give a shout outs to them. I'd say like a big homies of the channel with Sales Ahead. I love those guys. I know early on we started doing stuff, and so I've always wanted to show them love. Shout outs to Poeta. I don't know if they're a band anymore realistically because they've just gone through some stuff, but they were one of the first bands that I started doing stuff with, and I love those guys very deeply. We still talk on a semi-regular basis, so I love having them on. Shout outs to my boy Bailey Hand. Love that dude. I know we started out doing stuff early on too, and just the New Jersey scene has been really fantastic. Philly scene has been also equally as fantastic, and thank you to just all the PR companies and the people that I've been doing work with over the past couple years. Like it's been awesome. Shout outs to Angela and Erica over at Muddy Paw. They're very new, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with them recently. They're fantastic. Check out them. I know Hope from 25 8 PR. She's really great. I haven't done stuff with her recently, so Hope, if you're watching this, let's do some more stuff together. Shouts to Becky and Katie and Natalie and all the lovely people over at Big Picture. They do fantastic work, and I always love working with their bands. They have a fantastic roster of bands, so I want to give them a shout. Shoutouts to Austin over at Secret Service Publicity. He does some fantastic work too. He has some awesome artists that I've been able to talk to and get in contact with. They're fantastic. Go give them some love. I don't want to forget anybody realistically. Shoutouts to James over at Carry the Four. He's awesome. He always sends me awesome stuff. So shoutouts to him. Who else? I know there's more people. They're fantastic. Any band that has like DM'd me about doing stuff, you guys are awesome. I'm gonna pull out my phone real quick so I don't look like a big dummy. Who else? Haley Brinkman, like I said, Charlie Bezer. He's been sending me stuff. Kristen, shoutouts to her. Shoutouts to Ed, who's been recently sending me stuff. He's awesome. Shoutouts to just a bunch of other people that have literally hit me up about doing anything relating to audio addiction. If you're in a band, thank you for coming on. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for your time. It's very cool to just have people that, love talking about music in general, whether it be theirs or somebody else's. It's always a cool opportunity. Shout outs to Launch Conference. I've met a ton of awesome people there. And I've met lifelong friends doing this, and just thank you to you guys. Like I say it in every one of my videos, and again, I don't want it to just seem like it goes under the radar, but thank you so much for believing in what I do. It's so cool to be a part of a community that really cares about music and cares about trying to get people's bands out there. Like, that's awesome. And thank you just for supporting these underground bands. I'm sure that means a lot to them. Shout outs to Funeral Tire. I love those dudes. Miss you guys. Just a lot of people that I've come to interview that have become a lot of my closest friends. Like, I love you guys. Thank you again for the 1,000 likes on Facebook, for all the subscribers here on YouTube and on Instagram. Shouts to all you guys as well. Shouts to Megan, she does some great work too. But thank you guys for watching this. This is my not swan song, but just like basically thank you guys so much. Like, I know I've been saying it a lot, but it honestly truly means a lot, and again, it makes all of this hard work worth it. So thank you guys for watching this long-winded live reaction video. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you'd like to see more of this in the future, let me know. I'd love to do it. And again, guys, thank you for watching. I hope to see you all very soon. And I hope to hear from you all down in the comments below. And again, thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.